Okay, Mr. Mayor, now live on YouTube.
Thank you, sir. 6 o'clock. Have we got the, Jennifer, have you got that taken care of?
Not yet. Trying to get it.
Okay, I apologize to everybody. We have got a technical difficulty going. We will take care of that and then we'll be right with you.
Councilmember Talley, it should be in your email inbox.
I keep hitting send receive. You sent it to Graham Cinema, right?
No, ma'am, I sent it to your City of Graham email address.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. Okay.
Do you want me to send it to the Graham Cinema one?
If you wouldn't mind, please. I'm so sorry.
No worries, absolutely.
I can't get to my.
It should be in the Graham Cinema inbox now.
Yes, thank you so much. Okay.
My pleasure. I know how frustrating technology can be at the last moment.
I mean, it was up. It literally was up, but when I went live on the Zoom, it went away, and then when I went back to City of Graham to just try to go to that link, it keeps coming up saying the page is not working. The page
All right,
is
you've
having
got
a
it now?
problem.
You have it now?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, then we'll call our meeting to order and ask you to bow your head for invocation, if you would, please. Heavenly Father, thank you for this beautiful day. Thank you for all the blessings you've given to us. Thank you for the city staff that work so hard for us every day and always protect those that protect us. In your heavenly name we pray. Amen. Would you please rise for our Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Ladies and gentlemen, we are the Graham City Council and welcome everybody. I'd like to welcome everybody to the March 9th, 2021 Graham City Council meeting. For this meeting, the City of Graham is convening by the Zoom video phone conference. To join the meeting, you may dial 253-215-8782 and enter the meeting ID, which is 832-2539-0519. Zoom information is also posted on the City of Graham's website, identifying how the public may join. During the COVID-19 pandemic, this meeting is being held via Zoom platform. The meeting will be live streamed on the City of Graham's YouTube page at www.youtube.com and type in City of Graham, North Carolina. Please note this meeting is being recorded. If anyone is having technical or connection difficulties, please contact Preston Jenkins at 336-347-8674 for support. To address the council during issues not on tonight's agenda, the public comments portion of the meeting, please use the raise hand feature in the Zoom, or if by phone, press *9, and our meeting host will notify me that you wish to speak. I am Mayor Jerry Peterman. I confirm that all the members in person anticipated on the agenda are present and can hear me. Member present, when I call your name, just please respond. Mayor Pro Tem Chip Turner.
Present.
Thank you, sir. Council Member Melody Wiggins.
Present.
Thank you, ma'am. Council Member Jennifer Talley.
Present.
Thank you, ma'am. Council Member Ricky Hall.
Present.
Staff participants, when I call your names, please respond in the affirmative. Thank you, sir. Interim City Manager Aaron Holland.
Here.
City Attorney Brian Coleman.
Here.
City Clerk Darcy Sperry. I know Darcy's here.
Here. Did you hear me?
Thank you, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Planning Director Nathan Page.
Present.
And IC System Manager Jeff Wilson.
I'm here, sir.
And Jeff will promote other staff as needed. So first, let's go to the consent agenda. A, approve minutes. B, approve proclamation declaring April 30th, 2021 as Arbor Day. C, approve audit contract. D, adopt master plan for the recreation and parks. And E, petition for voluntary contiguous annexation for 2 acres. I need to pull D and E off the consent agenda. Does anybody else want to pull anything? A?
Yeah.
Okay, anybody else? Then I need a motion to approve B and C on the consent agenda.
So moved.
Thank you, sir. I need a
Second.
second. Thank you, sir. I will poll the council. Let's see, first, Mayor Pro Tem, please.
Aye.
Melody, please.
Aye.
Jennifer, please.
Aye.
And Ricky Hall, please.
Hey. Hi. Aye. Aye.
All right, let's go to A, approved minutes. Jennifer, did you pull this?
Just about the, to authorize the city manager to enter into an agreement, for the alleyway. I'm sorry, I did not have the opportunity to go back and look at the video, but in reading the minutes, it was my impression that we would allow does it need to be, I guess, specific? Will it have to come forward on an additional, city council meeting for the city manager to agree to do these alleyways if it's more than just that one that was picked out? And also there was no mention of the fact that it was for $0.
Jerry, you want me to answer that one?
Let's do it, please.
As far as any future alleys, those partnerships would have to be approved by council. That one was specific to that one. The $0, I think it was spelled out in the contract or in the agreement what was going to be any monetary, which was none, except for anything that the city wanted to improve that alleyway with. So when you agree the agreement to go forward, that's what the monetary was based on.
But I mean, it's not like I'm just saying, if you read these minutes, like 5 years from now, or even a year from now, you would assume, like I did when I first read the agenda, that it's for a specific amount, monthly amount. And it's really basically a dollar lease or whatever to lease the property in order to do a pop-up park, right?
Right, but the agreement, I mean, we have the signed agreement, we keep those on file, so that's what we would look back to.
But we shouldn't have anything in the minutes that says that it's for not for a monthly amount?
Well, if council agreed to move forward with the agreement, then the agreement would be what we would reference.
And okay, is the agreement part of the minutes? It's not.
But the agreement was signed by the city council, gave the authority to the city manager to sign on behalf, which that will be filed away once all parties sign the agreement.
It was just my impression that there should have been something in the minutes that the lease was not for a specific amount every month. It's basically a $1 year, $1 lease, or you know, and that, and I'm sorry, maybe I misunderstood the motion, but I thought it was to allow us to be able to do this.
Based on the agreement.
Right. But you're saying that any new agreements will still have to come before council?
That's correct. Any future alleyways will still have to come. This is a partnership that the council has to approve to move forward.
All right, that answers questions.
I mean,
Jennifer?
yeah, I still think the minutes should reflect that it was for $0, the amount, but if you don't think the rest of the council's fine with that, then
As long as the agreements, we voted on the agreement and agreement has details. You didn't have to put every single detail in the minutes. The minutes are telling us where to find the agreement, I'm sure.
okay.
Does that satisfy your questions?
Yeah, I mean, I was actually under the impression that we were giving them the ability to be able to do this in multiple locations, but that's fine if we have to go back before the council and do that. And
Okay. Does anybody else having a question about A on the consent agenda? Then I need a motion to approve A.
Mr. Mayor, make a motion that we approve item A.
Thank you, Ricky. I need a second.
Second.
Thank you, ma'am. I'll poll the council. First, Mayor Pro Tem.
Aye.
Melody, please.
Aye.
Jennifer, please. Ricky,
Aye.
and I'll vote aye. Next, we'll go to D, the master plan for the Graham Recreation and Parks Department. The Recreation Director, Brian Fawcett, has asked to pull this because he had some updates that he wanted to include in that. So I will make a motion that we postpone this to the reading for next month. I need a second.
Second.
Thank you, sir. I'll poll the council. First, Mayor Pro Tem.
Aye.
Melody, please.
Aye.
Jennifer, please.
aye.
Ricky, please.
Aye.
And I'll vote aye. Next, E, the petition for voluntary contiguous annexation. There was a something that was left out of that motion on our agenda, and we need to make the motion reflect I've got it here somewhere, reflect the address, which is 1342 Jimmy Kerr Road. So the petition for voluntary contiguous annexation for 2-acre lot, it should read that way. So let's see. I will make a motion unless anybody else has got any questions about this. The way the suggested motion in your agenda packet read, it says, I move we approve the resolution directing the clerk to investigate a petition received under GS 160A-31 for a parcel located off Council Road and Darrell Drive. And that's not close enough. We had to put 1342 Jimmy Kerr Road in there. So we need to change that and then make the motion. Does everybody understand where I'm coming with that? Okay, it will be on the staff report, suggested motions. So I will make the motion. I move we approve the resolution directing the clerk to investigate a petition received under GS 160A-31 for a parcel located at 1342 Jimmy Kerr Road. And I need a second.
I second your motion, Mayor.
Thank you, sir. I'll poll council. Chipper, please.
Aye.
Melody, please.
Aye.
Jennifer.
Can I ask staff a question about this?
Yes, ma'am.
Is this a house?
It is a house. The intention is for them to tie onto water, but this is just for them to be able to have the discussion in public.
Okay, so it's gonna remain a house. Is that what you're saying? They want to tie into water?
I can assure you that at some point in time, there will not be a house on this parcel, whether that's,
Yeah, I was kind of confused because it's like the 2-acre. I just wanted to make sure I was looking at the right property when I
Mayor, we got a motion on the table and halfway through the vote.
Yes, she's got the right to ask the question if she's unsure about her, the way she's fixing the vote. So I think she's right. Is that not right, Brian?
Sorry about that. Yes, sir. That's right.
Okay, so she would have the right to, before she votes, to ask the question, and I understand that. Jennifer, you still got the floor.
Aren't we we're just voting to postpone it, right?
No, Councilmember Talley, it's the first of the steps that all this one does is makes it so that the applicant can have a public hearing regarding the annexation. The applicant is present and they would be a much better person to ask whether they had any plans for the next year or two. But as you're aware, we all have the right to demolish our house tomorrow and then build another house on that lot or not. This lot is zoned R18 and so would have to have a rezoning if it was something other than a single family detached house.
So if the property owner is there, can we ask them? Is that appropriate, Mayor? Ask them what their intentions of the property is?
That would be a question I don't think you can ask. You can ask, but they wouldn't have to answer you what their intentions were.
But they might want to tell us what's coming to ground.
The only reason we pulled this is we had a grammatical error on the thing, and I pulled it for that. And right now, all this will do is set in motion the process. When the process gets underway, then we can ask questions of the owner, I believe. Brian, do you agree with that?
Yes, sir. I believe at the public hearing, there could be questions asked once it's set and once you have the hearing.
Okay. But you still have the floor, Jennifer.
Okay, so all we're doing is just clarifying
The address.
address.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
All right. So I'm asking you to vote one way or another.
Hey,
Okay. You voted nay?
no, I voted in favor. Sorry.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Ricky Hall?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Now, I think we would need to vote for the second motion. I move to approve the resolution fixing the date of April 13th, 2021 for a public hearing on question of annexation pursuant to General Statute 168-31 for a 2-acre parcel at 1342 Jimmy Kerr Road. This is the second portion of that motion. I've made that motion. I need a
I
second.
second your motion, Mayor.
Thank you, sir. I'll poll the council. Chipper, please.
Aye.
Melody, please.
Aye.
Jennifer, please.
Um,
And Ricky Hall, please.
Yes.
And I vote aye myself. All right. That takes care of our consent agenda. Move some of this stuff out of the way. Next, we go to old business, public hearing. RZ 2010 Riverbend Business request by Travis Webb, the third to rezone a portion. And Nathan, I believe you're going to take care of this one and the next one. So if you'll take A for us, please.
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor. And I think that Brian appreciates that you're splitting the two so that you have a motion for A to table and then a motion for B to table. But on March 5th, we received an email from the applicant requesting to table these for another.
Okay, with that being said, I will make a motion to
I'm
table
sorry,
A.
Mayor. My audio keeps going in and out. I couldn't hear what Nathan said.
Nathan, would you repeat, please?
Yeah, I just read what's on the screen and read that the petitioner has requested that these be tabled for another month.
Okay.
I'm sorry. I just see your mouth moving. I didn't know what you were saying.
Okay, so with that, we need to vote on each one of them individually. So I will make a motion that we table public hearing RZ 2010 to the next scheduled meeting. I need a second.
I second your motion, Mayor.
Thank you, sir. I poll the council. Chip, please.
Aye.
Melody, please.
Aye.
Jennifer, please.
Aye.
Ricky Hall, please.
Aye.
And I'll vote aye. So next we'll go to public hearing B, public hearing CR 2006 Truby Apartments. And he has asked to postpone this also to the next scheduled meeting, which is next month. And I will make that motion. I need a second.
Second, Mayor.
Thank you, sir. Poll council, Chipper, please.
Aye.
Melody,
Aye.
Jennifer,
Aye.
Ricky Hall,
Aye.
and I will vote aye. Thank y'all for that. Next, we'll go to C, second reading amendment to Chapter 20, Article 5, parades, demonstration, and street events of the Code of Ordinances. Aaron, you're handling this for us, please?
Yes, sir. The requested action tonight is to amend the code of ordinances for sections regulating parades, demonstrations, and street events. Following the repeal of the parade and demonstration ordinance back in July of 2020, City Council approved new language at their December 2020 meeting. This language addressed deficiencies from the prior ordinance, as well as defined guidance for staff to evaluate parades and street events with the formation of a special events committee. It was later determined that the enforcement of this ordinance should be delayed until the conclusion of legal review. The language was discussed between the attorney with the ACLU and the city's contracted attorney. The contracted attorney addressed language that would make the interpretation clearer. The revised language was presented to council at their February meeting, but due to the timing of when that was presented to council, it was tabled till this month. Staff does recommend approval of the language.
Okay, let's go questions for the staff. Let's start with you, Chip.
No question.
Melody, questions?
No, sir.
Jennifer, questions?
In the section up at the top that says Special Events Committee established, and speaking with staff today, there was a consideration as to whether there should be business community members as part of that special events committee. And I guess I just really wanted to hear what the rest of the council felt about that. Wasn't even something that I brought up, but something that another staff person did. And then there was a question about in the appeals section. I think that doing things last minute is where we've had problems in the past, allowing things to be done kind of last minute without any kind of planning or anything like that. Obviously, we have to allow for if there's like a national type issue going on, but where people have had the opportunity to plan and then didn't do so in advance, as far as other people having events planned and that kind of conflicting with them if someone was having a wedding downtown or they were having some special event and then someone else planned something at the last minute, it's a little bit unfair to them if they have something conflicting with that. So in the section that deals with appeals, where you can just appeal it to the city manager, the last sentence of section 20-176, I think we should take out. I did talk to Tony about that, the attorney, and he said that he's fine with us taking that out. He said basically if the city council wants to be able to hear those appeals, and in speaking with Chief Cole today, I said, when would be a situation where we would need to do that? And in speaking with Tony today as well, he said, you could just 3 members of the council could call for a special meeting. So I think that people need to plan ahead if they're going to have a big event, especially if it's going to affect other businesses. And so I would ask the council to consider just removing that one sentence under the appeal section and whether business community members should be a part of the special events committee.
All right. First off, let me tell you that it's not appropriate for you to call the attorney one-on-one. We do get billed for that, by the way. He's giving you information that's not privileged to the rest of us. If we have to have an attorney's meeting with him, that's one thing, but one person on the council cannot do that. You need to go through Brian or go through Bob and get them to take care of that instead of us dial him directly. Again, we would get billed. I'm sure we got billed for that. Business members, I'm fine with that idea, but you can't stipulate a downtown business. It's whatever happens in Graham is for all the businesses, not just downtown. It could be anybody that works for Luxford. It could be somebody that works for not rental tile anymore, but you see what I'm saying. You can't stipulate a downtown business person, I don't believe.
It can be, it doesn't have, I'm sorry, maybe I misspoke. Did I say downtown business? I apologize if I did.
You did not.
I think business community member is what I have written down. So just.
Right. That's what you
somebody
said.
from-
And I didn't, I don't know if I was jumping the gun on that one, but I may have. I don't have the agenda in front of me to see the number of people. Can one of y'all read that to me? Have you got the section number for us? Was it 20-1760 or was that the appeals?
The one for the special events committee established,
Yes, sir.
That's the very first paragraph.
it's 20-171. But Mayor, if I can add one quick thing.
Yes, sir.
On the special events committee, it's comprised of city staff because it's for the purpose of streamlining the approval process for the different departments that may be involved. Right now, it's comprised of our fire department representative, police department representative, public works representative, anyone that would have any input on any item that would be looked to set up for whatever kind of event. And it's almost like a TRC in a way of how it's comprised so that you can have everyone check off. That's the reason why we have city staff. Not to say that no one else can be on it, it's just that it's important that city staff be there for that purpose of making sure that we're not doing something that should have had input from one of the other departments that may have a say-so in whether it's meeting a code or not.
I don't think Jennifer's asking to eliminate anybody. I think she's
no.
asking to add.
Right. I just want to make sure that that's the reason why city staff was pointed out. That's what
I actually like the way it's set up, but in speaking with someone on staff today, they had suggested, we kind of have been doing this informally without actually having an actual committee. When we have a meeting for the Christmas parade, for instance, we have somebody from Parks and Rec, somebody from, the police department, somebody from all of these different individual departments. But when it's going to affect downtown businesses or a business of where the event would happen, whether it's near Luxford or near Lytle or any of these other businesses that are located in the city limits of Graham, I think we have to, if it's going to affect their traffic or any of that kind of stuff, I think it's good to have a business representative that is reaching out to the people that have a stake in it, that would know, like, no one knew that a wedding was planned and that they were, this person couldn't cancel their wedding literally 24 hours ahead of time. And if someone would have reached out to the downtown businesses in that particular situation when that event was there, at least they could have given that bride and that groom a heads up, hey, this is happening, and can we try to come up with some, I think the police chief is really good at trying to find compromise so that everybody is able to do and effectuate what they're trying to achieve. So to me, it seems like there may be some knowledge that maybe a business owner might have, and if you don't need to include them because the event is at a park, then don't include them. But I do think that if you are going to be affecting businesses by an event, they need to know about it and you need to seek their input.
Let's go to the rest of the council and let's talk first about the inclusion of business owners throughout the city. Melody, what do you think?
I think that it was designed in order so that they could get business done effectively. I think that what you're suggesting is that a business person on that committee would then be moving forward into the business community. And I don't think that's the way to go with it. I think that it needs to be officially done by the city, not some person or one person from the business community who then is quote, supposed to go to the business community to ask that question. That's really not, you're not going to pick someone that's supposed to be responsible to the community that's supposed to be able to do that. That really deters the entire development. It slows it down, the process. It just doesn't make sense other than, what you're trying to do is to tell the business community. Jennifer keeps coming back over to the wedding part, but you're already in, you've already got an ordinance under 2174 that already speaks to the wedding parties and not being able to be a part of that. It's already listed here. Let's see. Specifically to that event. Let's see. Yeah, it already lists wedding parties, special events that they may not interfere with any of that. So that would be the information. Talking to one person in the business community means that one person has to go back and find numerous people and be able to say that. So it's in 20.180, and it says it is unlawful to interfere with the public use or enjoyment of public spaces. K is it is unlawful as part of protest activities to intentionally interfere with bridal marriage or ceremonies and celebrations being conducted unrelated to the protest activity. That's part of the agreement and the contract.
All right, thank you, ma'am. Chipper, what do you think?
I agree a lot with what Melody is saying. And two, our attorneys have drawn this thing up. They've been through this with a fine tooth comb. I really think that we've got a good agreement here, and we probably should stick with it.
Ricky Hall, what do you think?
I have no comment, Mayor.
Okay. All right.
Jerry, I just want to explain something about the attorney had actually reached out to me and asked, had we passed the ordinance yet? And so when I called him back, I asked him about this. So, regardless of what something might be written down, I just know, I'm just speaking from being a business owner, there was a lot of complaints from people not knowing it was affecting their business. They were closing down. They were having to close. They didn't know anything about these different things that were happening. So I just think communication needs to be better. If you don't want a business person or someone in the business community to sit on the specific special events committee, to reach out to them, to just have someone present so that they can at least go back and let the business community know that, hey, there's going to be an event on such and such day and you're going to be closing your street. These people, when you own a business, you have staff, you have supplies that you're paying for, you have all sorts of things that you have to kind of pivot. And knowing something literally hours before it happens is very disruptive. And it tends to have business owners get really, really upset at the city saying, well, when did you learn about this? Why didn't anybody contact us? Why didn't anybody? And these are the things, I know, Jerry, you've heard this. Why didn't anybody tell us about this? So to speak to what Melody's saying, I don't care who the business person is, as long as they'll go back to the businesses that would be affected by whatever event is going on. even if it's, it's irrelevant what kind of event. But if it's going to close their street or it's going to affect their business, we have always done this for as long as I've been in this city. Whenever we were having any kind of event, we go and contact whoever we're affecting. I mean, Jerry, even when I've put on an event, I've come to city council with letters from property owners saying, hey, I'm affecting their business, I'm affecting their property. I have respect for other people. And before I put on this event, I'm going to get their support and make sure that they are supportive of us doing this event. We have always gone to the business association and to the downtown businesses or to any business in which we were affecting and gotten their pseudo blessing. And I just think that communication needs to be better. That's really, and if that's not to change the ordinance, it's to just try to have some inclusion in the people that are actually, the stakeholders in this that actually lose money when they close their business as a result of an event that they just found out about 10 hours ago.
What I would see after hearing both of these arguments, if I was a business owner, I wouldn't be on that committee for $1 million, just because it puts a liability on them to let everyone know. What I would rather see, if we're going to put a business owner on there or a business person, was for them to make sure that the city does their job in notifying everybody, not put it on that business owner to notify people.
Mayor, I think the solution would be is the police department just make, once these events come open, police department or somebody on their staff inform everybody what's going on if they have 2 days notice to do it. A lot of times these things pop up with no notice.
Yeah. Well, the appeals portion and the 48 hours and all that stuff is in there. But what I'm saying is, do we need somebody that holds our feet to the fire?
Like I say, I think the police department or somebody on our city staff can notify business owners we have an event coming.
They can, but if I was the business person that was on this committee, I would not want the responsibility of letting everybody know. Because there's one that you're going to miss, and that's the one that's going to
That's what I'm saying. The police department can reach out to all businesses, not just one person.
Brian,
I think it's the responsibility between the economic development coordinator and the police department to be able to notify all of the downtown businesses in an appropriate manner. The examples Jennifer was just using are not realistic in the kinds of examples that we're doing. Special events are one thing where people are going to get that notice in plenty of time. What we're talking about here mostly is what's going on are protests and demonstrations. Those have been the ones that have been short notice, but that again would be the police department who would have that information. And Aaron, correct me if I'm wrong, but that should be part of their public information officer to get that information as quickly as possible to business owners.
We'll say this, Jerry, that we didn't even, I'm on the city council and I did not even know that things had changed. You've got, we had someone that had requested a event to happen at a city council meeting, and I was told all the way up until right before the event that the street was not going to be closed. And so when all these businesses are calling me, or I'm relaying the information that I've been given directly from the city, to your point, that was not a good handling of how that happened. And I was telling all these business owners, they're not going to close the street. They're not going to close the street. Well, the entire Main Street was closed. And these people pay property taxes. These people are good citizens of our community. And we need to take into account that when their business closes, they lose money, their employees lose money, and to have notice literally with just a few hours, and that it didn't just happen one time, it happened repeatedly where we thought X was going to happen and we're told X was going to happen, and then Y happened. And it's not just about the livelihood of the businesses, but also the safety. I mean, these people want to know, they don't want their 16-year-old kid working down here if they perceive that there's some sort of danger. And it seemed like nobody even notified anybody, none of the property owners, and people get pretty upset about that. Moms and dads get pretty upset about that. You know, why didn't you tell me that this was going to happen? We didn't know.
I think we had a question to Aaron directly. Melody, would you repeat that question, please?
Certainly. I believe that, you know, we've got an information officer with the police department. There were, and Jennifer is correct in a couple of situations. However, it would have been tenuous. I absolutely would not have wanted any business owner to know the information that our police departments knew at that time. That would have been a very tenuous situation for us. And I think Brian would agree with that. However, there is information that can be dispersed out and should be dispersed in a timely manner. Can we not ensure that that information, if situations change, gets out into the public?
Yes, and I know, speaking with Chief Cole, that they're utilizing Twitter and Instagram to push out a lot of the events and stuff as they're popping up. That's proven to be the quickest way to get information out. Excuse me. But also, as you alluded to earlier, our downtown development coordinator, Mary Fawcett, also has the ability and has been pushing a lot of information out as they come up too as well. And I know that she utilizes about every social media platform that's out there to get that information out. And granted, I'm not saying that the events didn't happen that council member Tally was alluding to. It's just we didn't have any events last year. And the year prior, we were really starting to get everything into a flow of making sure we could get this information as it came through. And as far as the protest with Main Street, that's a DOT road. So if they did get something through NCDOT and not through us, it could have gotten past us, and we may have been, you know, coming in at the very end, getting that information as well. So that's just one little thing I wanted to add to that.
Aaron, I would also add, if we could, please, that we make physical contact. If these businesses are actually in the middle of their business day and something changes, they don't have time to look at their social media. And so
Exactly.
we really need someone to come downtown physically and come by the businesses and say, whether that's a police officer or whether that's Mary, to come by and say, hey, things have changed, just a heads up, this is going to happen.
Yeah, we can do that.
You know, social media is outstanding, but it's not the answer for everything that we've got. Those businesses realistically are in the middle of their work days, and they are not checking their social media.
What does everybody else think?
I think we accept this as written.
I agree with Melody. I think there should be boots on the street just to walk by, just to politely say, hey, you know, we've got an event and this is what's going to go down.
Okay, so you think
this changes, Mr. Mayor, I don't think any of this changes the ordinance. I think it's just a comment to the staff that asking them if we could please address that.
Ricky, so you're all right with the ordinance as it's written in this section? Now we haven't discussed the other section, which was the legal review for the protest, not the protest, for the I've got it here somewhere. So we've got one more thing to discuss, but you're all right with this section, Ricky?
Yes, Mayor, as long as we instruct staff to notify the local businesses downtown.
Okay. So we have, she had one more, it was on appeals, 20.171 on the appeals process. Aaron, do you want to speak on the appeals process for just 1 second?
I think that really alludes to what comfort level the city council has as far as if I haven't spoken to Mr. Biller about it. I know Councilmember Talley was stating that she had a conversation with him about possibly taking that part out. If council would rather it come to them, then that would slow the process up if there is something that needs to get moved along quicker. But if council is more comfortable with the appeals or anything coming to them for review, then that does mean that special meetings would need to be called if it's something that needs to be rushed along. That's the only drawback on that.
Let me ask Brian this question. If something came up and the council voted against it, are we gonna have a First Amendment lawsuit on our hands for voting against something?
Well, I guess it depends on well, that's going to be a lot of factors in there. But we're talking about the parade ordinance, right? The parade and the special events and stuff, and not necessarily the protest ordinance. But I guess as long as it meets all those qualifications, if it got denied for one of those reasons, I guess it could be varied reasons, not anything constitutional, but it could be some other reasons. I guess it's like Aaron said, it depends on the council. If they're comfortable with it moving forward with it, it gets in a time crunch, the city manager can make the decision. If you feel like y'all want to make the decision, I guess you could remove that language. I think it's a case-by-case basis as to whether or not it's a constitutional issue. So you just have to look at the facts that were at the hand as to why it was denied and what they're asking, whatever the reason is it was denied would kind of play into your decision. But it's going to be case fact specific as to whether it's constitutional or not.
Okay.
Does that answer your question?
Well, you danced around it pretty well.
Yeah.
Well, Mayor, let me just be clear that it's only the last sentence of that section, and that's really, it's not going to change the meeting, anything meaningful in the ordinance. I mean, to Chip's point that he wants to pass it as is, it's potato. I mean, really, I'm not, not changing anything other than the fact that, and that was Tony's point. He's like, it doesn't matter whether the city council makes the decision or whether the city manager makes it, but somebody will have to make the decision in the event of an emergency type situation in regards to an appeal. But this would at least put hopefully, if someone reads this, they would try to at least plan to ask before city council meeting, or to ask in advance, so that if they do get denied, they would be able to appeal to a city council meeting, rather than everybody waiting to the last minute.
Would you do me a favor and read that last sentence? I don't have it available.
The last sentence just says, should time not permit, the city manager is authorized to hear and resolve the appeal. So if you just strike that, he said that basically it's still up to the city council to make the decision. And if the city council felt that it was an emergency type situation, they could call a special meeting.
All right, Chipper, you like it the way it's written?
I can live with pulling it out if everybody wants to pull it out. I can live with it.
Okay, Ricky, what do you think?
I agree that I want us as the council to make that final decision. That's what the people elected us to. And, I don't mind being held accountable.
And Melody, you like it the way it's written?
I like the way it's written simply because the city attorney is not going to make, or the city manager is not going to make a decision like that without the guidance from the city attorney, particularly if it's on, because this is parade or protest permit. So if it's a protest permit and he has any inclination that there are issues, he is going to contact the attorney. Either way, whether it's the city manager or whether it's the city council will be involved. There's legal counsel that will have to be involved. So it's a matter of whether or not the city council wants to do a hurry up meeting and everybody get together, or that we actually allow the city manager to do his job and get with the city attorney and make an informed decision, because this council shouldn't be making that kind of decision. If there's an appeal and there is a legal appeal, there has to be an attorney present to make that decision. And in most of these cases, Mr. Billings has made those decisions and given us the best that he possibly can as far as wording is concerned. And every time we as individuals become involved with it, it muddies the waters and it puts us all at risk.
All right, I've got two questions here that Jennifer put together. And I think I had a consensus for the first one, which was putting a business member on the board. And I think I'm gonna poll the council anyway. Chip, what do you said you were all right with the way it was written?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Ricky, you also said the same thing.
Yes, sir.
Melody, you said the same thing.
Yes, sir.
And I will say the same thing. So I have a consensus to leave that portion of it alone. Let's go to the second portion, which is the liability, not the liability, but the appeals process. And Jennifer has a sentence that she would like to leave out. Jennifer, read the sentence one more time, please.
Should time not permit, the city manager is authorized to hear and resolve the appeal.
All right. Melody, let's go to you. You're all right with that statement?
I would prefer to leave it in.
Okay. Ricky Howell.
Mayor Peterman, I think he stepped away for a moment.
Okay, let's go to Chipper, please.
Mayor, I'm comfortable with taking it out or leaving it in. I mean, however we want to go with it.
Okay.
Mayor Peterman, Councilmember Hall is back if you'd like to go back to him.
Yes, Rick, we were talking about the last sentence about the appeals process. Are you all right with taking that sentence out, or do you want to leave it in?
I want to take it out.
And Jennifer?
I mean, I prefer to take it out and leave that to the council.
Okay, I'm fine with taking it out also. So we have a consensus to take that last sentence out. So any other questions about the entire thing? Have I polled everyone with their questions?
Can I interrupt you for a moment?
Yes, ma'am.
On the section 2171, I don't think you polled Councilmember Talley to get the consensus. I just wanted it for the record that she's in agreement or not in agreement with that, leaving it as is.
Okay, that'll be fine. Jennifer, how did you vote on that? Or you consensus?
I'm in agreement with leaving as it is, but I think there was also a consensus that we would have staff, notify the businesses.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So, does anybody else have any questions about anything else in this? I don't know if I completed the poll of the council, but let me start over again. Chip, have you got any more questions?
No, sir.
Melody, you have any more questions?
Yes, sir.
Jennifer, have you got any more questions?
No.
Ricky Howell, have you got any more questions?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
And I do not also. Let me read this real quickly. Statement number 2, if anyone in attendance would like to speak during the agenda item, please indicate that you wish to do so by using the raise hand feature in Zoom, or by phone, press *9 to notify the host you wish to speak. We will recognize you at the appropriate time to speak. If you are having technical difficulties, please contact Preston Jenkins at 336-347-8674. I'll go to Darcy. Darcy, have you got any comments?
Mayor, that'll be Jeff that handles that.
I know. Have you got any?
No,
email?
I received no public comment on any agenda item tonight.
Okay. Jeff, have you got anybody on the line?
Yes, sir. Tom Boney, you've been unmuted. Go ahead, sir.
Thank you. Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir. Give us your name and address, please, sir.
Hey, this is Tom Boney with the Alamance News. 114 West Elm Street here in Graham is the address. Mayor, the conversation is largely passed by, but I do want to make a note for the record. I have no opinion about the composition of the committee that's established or would propose to be established in section 20.171. But I did want to make the point when the discussion was focusing on additional members being appointed to that committee, that would make it a public body subject to notification, public notice, and meetings would be public. Only meetings which are exclusively among members of the professional staff are exempt from the open meetings law. So as it's drafted, which is just city staff, and which I gather is the consensus you've arrived at, it is not a public body. The discussion was heading at one point that it might be, or at least that it would have another member, which therefore would make it a public body.
So you're saying we did the right thing?
Well, in terms of, I mean, I'm just saying it in terms of whether you have a public body or not, you kept it as just a staff body. And so it's not required to have open meetings and notifications. My other question actually has also been superseded by the fact that I finally found what section you were talking about in terms of the appeals. I was scanning back and forth trying to find it, but I finally did find it and see the sentence that now, again, by consensus, appears to have been struck out. One last point, Mr. Mayor, because I did not get up with you during the consent agenda. On a procedural matter that is important that the Mayor Pro Tem raised with you and that I don't think you got an adequate answer to from the attorney. When a vote is underway, there is not to be any interruption of the vote. Now, in fairness to Councilmember Talley, there's also, as you as the presiding officer are supposed to call for any discussion prior to the vote, but once the vote is begun, it's not supposed to be any interruptions. No questioning, no discussing, it's yay or nay, and then tally the vote. And so I noticed in some previous meetings, y'all had wandered into that territory, and then it happened again tonight. It is not supposed to be interrupted once it's begun. In fairness, there is supposed to be a call for discussion prior to the vote, but once it's begun, it's to be concluded.
All right, thank you for that lesson.
That's all of my comments on these topics, Mr. Mayor, and thank you.
Yes, sir, thank you. Jeff, have you got anyone else?
Yes, sir. Ms.
Okay.
Carrie Griffin, you've been unmuted. Go ahead.
Hello, council members and Mayor Peterman. I am calling in for a few agenda items. As a business owner in Graham, 313 Providence Road is the address. I have on many occasions been notified about events from Mary Fawcett, including permits where roads were closed. I just wanted to state that while I do believe that there's always room for growth within the city staff, I wanted to just make sure that y'all are all aware of that. So thank you, Ms. Fawcett, for that. Also, on another hand, I feel as though it's obvious that Councilwoman Talley is representing herself as a businesswoman tonight and not as a council member representing all constituents of Graham. And I think that you can further see that conflict of interest with how she wants a business person to be on the committee and continues to really push back on some of those areas. And I just want to be clear that in this setting, she is a councilwoman. Also, she stated that she contacted the city attorney today. This is not legal if she does not follow appropriate channels. And I want to be sure that she has time to either speak to that or the attorney can speak to that as well. Thank you.
First off, let me tell you, a conflict of interest has to have a financial gain or loss. So there is no conflict of interest for her.
Well, there is if you own multiple buildings and businesses in downtown. Isn't that correct, Mayor? And no, Jennifer Talley does that.
She does, but there is no conflict of interest for her ask someone to be put on this board as a business owner throughout the city. She's representing the business owners as well as she is every citizen of Graham.
That is true, but it seems as though she is more concerned with the business owners.
And I've already talked to her about calling an attorney that is not, it's not proper for any of us to call an attorney that is on contract.
Yes.
That one person gets information that the five of us don't get. So I've already talked to her about that, but I appreciate you calling.
So are you saying that she did contact the attorney without all five of you aware?
She actually got a call from the attorney. So
is that correct, Attorney Brian?
Now, Brian was not.
They're not talking about me, Miss Griffin. They're talking about another attorney that's under contract. So.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Jeff, have you got anyone else?
No, sir, that's everyone.
All right, then we'll end the public comments on this. Does anybody have anything else to add to this? Then let me move you to page 144, and I'll ask you to make a motion. And with that motion, we will eliminate the conflict of interest. We'll eliminate the last sentence that Jennifer asked to be eliminated by consent.
Mayor
So-
Peterman, I move to approve the ordinance amending chapter 20, article 5 by amending section 20-173, 176, 179, and 183 to the Code of Ordinances of the City of Graham, North Carolina, for race demonstrations and street events, with the one change to be to section 20-176 appeal, and strike the last sentence of that paragraph. Should time not permit, comma, the city manager is authorized to hear and resolve the appeal.
Thank you, ma'am. Does everybody understand?
I second Jennifer's motion.
Thank you, Rick. I'll poll the council. I'll start with the mayor pro tem. Melody,
Aye.
Jennifer,
Aye.
Ricky Hall,
Aye.
and I'll vote aye. It passes unanimously. Thank y'all for the discussion. It was good discussion. We appreciate it. All right, next we go to request and petitions from the citizens. First reading, temporary outdoor sales. Request by Patrick Miller to amend Chapter 8, Article 8, Section 8, 345 of the Code of Ordinances. Nathan, you're handling this, please.
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor. City Council approved a text amendment in their August 2018 meeting, which approved temporary outdoor sales for up to 3 days in any 7-day period. Patrick Miller has requested that the City Council reevaluate this policy and adopt a revised 5 days in any 7-day period and permit the same retailer to locate on a lot for those 5 days. The proposal would still require that a retailer completely remove all traces of the temporary outdoor sales at a frequency of no less than once a week. Under these conditions, if the City Council were to desire a tightening of regulations in the future, the non-conforming uses would only apply for 1 additional week after the approval of the new regulation. Because of this, staff feels comfortable that the regulation can be adjusted without a long-term negative consequence if the City Council feels it is necessary to increase restrictions due to unforeseen circumstances in the future.
Thank you, sir. Before we start asking questions, I do not want to visit this ordinance again myself, personally. I think we had enough discussion of it before, and we got an ordinance that we could all live with. I do not mind, on the other hand, setting up a 3-month period, and we'll call it COVID-19 period, where we can allow a little bit of leniency, just like we did with our sidewalks uptown. But my opinion is not to visit this ordinance, and that's just my opinion. Questions for staff? Melody, have you got questions?
My first question would be, is Jennifer, are you going to permit Jennifer to vote on this, since she is a business owner who uses these? That would be a true conflict of interest financially, one way or the other.
Let's go to Brian. Brian, what do you think?
Well, I believe that if there's that concern, I think the council would have to vote as to whether or not Jennifer be recused or not.
I was required to vote on the initial one. I get no direct financial benefit from passing that ordinance, and it affects everyone.
Melody, has your business ever had a food truck of any kind?
No, sir.
Would a food truck affect you sitting out front of your
We
business?
can't legally do that.
No, 50 foot away they could, though.
No, not even that. Our business does not allow for that. We can't legally do it by our corporate headquarters.
Okay. All right, well, let's go to the council and let's ask Chipper, what do you think?
I think we need to go to our council and let them advise us legally on this.
Go to the council or the attorney?
Our attorney, I'm sorry.
He did. He advised that it's up to us.
Yeah, it's if a member feels like it's a financial conflict by another board member, I think it's somebody needs to make a motion as to whether or not that council member should be recused.
Mr. Mayor, I'll make a motion that Jennifer be recused.
All right.
Mayor, I want some more discussion. I mean,
I made a motion. Hold on just a second.
Yeah,
Tell me
no,
what
I
my
think-
financial benefit is, Melody.
I have a
I have
motion
an
on the floor.
obligation to vote on.
All right,
everything.
all right.
but we gotta have some discussion. I agree with that motion, but we gotta have some discussion.
Right, so there's a motion on the floor, so you need to address the motion.
She is right. We just got that lesson just a
We
second
just got
ago.
that, yeah.
So I have do I have a second?
Point of order. You can't just make a motion and stop discussion when there hasn't even been any discussion made.
We're fixing to have a discussion. I don't think I've got a second for the motion, so the motion dies for lack of second. Let's continue our discussion on this. I would rather err on the side of openness than to allow it. And I think Melody's got a valid point that this could affect you personally, financially. So I agree with her. And I think we probably ought to ask you to recuse. And Ricky, what do you think?
I disagree with you there. I think I just disagree with it.
Okay. Chipper?
Well, I think on the side of safety, I mean, on the side of keeping out the soup, I think she probably should. I think if I were her, I would want to. Just my opinion.
Okay. Then I'll ask the council for a motion.
So move.
I need a second. I will second it. I'll poll the council. Start with Chip, Melody,
Aye.
Ricky,
No,
Jennifer.
No,
Vote
I
on
don't
that.
see my financial benefit as to whether an ordinance in regards to temporary outdoor sales affects me.
And I'll vote aye.
I've discussed
Motion
this
carries.
at length with the UNC School of Government, and they say I have to vote on these things.
I will vote aye. So we will ask you to recuse yourself on this discussion and vote. So let's get back to where we were. Again, we were asking the staff questions, and I think, Melody, did you ask any questions?
No, if we got anything else, was this request for Mr. Miller just for a temporary period of time that he's doing this, or he's asking
No,
to discuss this for the future period?
He was going into the ordinance itself and wanting to change the ordinance. So that would make it indefinitely unless you come back and want to change the ordinance again. And I just don't want to visit these ordinances every couple of months. And it's a 3-month period to change the ordinance anyway, unless we get a super majority. So I just don't want to visit this ordinance again. I'd rather do a COVID-19 type of easement, if you will, with the sidewalk he's got there, or another restaurant would have the same type of situation, just like we did with our seating on the sidewalks. We did something for our seating that we allow people to modify our easements to where they could get some more people seated during this COVID-19 pandemic.
Mr.
that-
Mayor.
The
Mr.
staff,
Mayor.
is that appropriate in this situation? I mean, outdoor seating was kind of another animal.
It is.
Food trucks. I don't know. I don't have any problem whether we do it COVID or whether we determine that they need more. I would love to hear from some more businesses to see if this is actually, good. 5 days makes me cringe a little bit. 4 days sounds like a long weekend, but 5 days was I'm not crazy about.
Mr. Mayor, we fought long and hard. The city council fought long and hard and come to a determination, just like you said. This is an ordinance that we do not need to modify.
I agree with you, Ricky. That's, we will hear from Patrick Miller here in a few minutes, but this is a discussion among ourselves. But go back to Aaron. Aaron, can we do a temporary, say a 3-month stay on this ordinance that would allow what Mr. Miller needs and what the rest of the city needs on this?
I would probably have to lean on on Brian on this one. I mean, I think there can be, I mean, I know you used the example of the sidewalk deal, and where there's a regulation that's regulating that space in one setting, you allow for a relaxation or a waiver, or however you want to phrase it, to allow for it to go in a different direction for a few months or however long you set that time frame to be. I suppose you could do that. It wouldn't necessarily be language of an ordinance or amendment to what we currently have. It would more or less be the vote of council if that's what you want to do, and then we would have to have an end date to that.
Aaron, I mean, Brian, have you got anything to add to that? What is it legal to do something?
No, I'll be honest with you, Mayor Peterman, I don't know. I think I'd have to look into that a little bit further to see, because some of this, I just don't know. I'd have to study it a little bit, do a little bit of research to
Mayor Peterman,
come up with a decision.
one solution that I think might work here is y'all could adopt whatever language you would want, and then there could be another amendment that came before you tomorrow or whatever that would undo it, and you could just table it until such time as in the council's determination the state of the pandemic was ended, and then you'd have all the public notices in place, you'd have everything in place, and so yes, you'd have an ordinance that was in place for a month or 2 months or 3 months, and then removed when the council wanted to remove it.
Here's my second question as a follow-up to that. And I guess we're going to get to Philip or Patrick, I'm sorry, to get to Mr. Miller, that we need to know what the time frame is. We're talking about doing something for 2 or 3 months, but is that really what he needs and what he's looking for? Is that too soon? Is he going to have the business in place in 2 or 3 months to be able to use what we're talking about or not?
But this will not just be for his business, it's for all of them.
That's correct. That's correct. But why would you pass it? Why would you even entertain the change? That he's the one that brought it to the board. So why would you entertain a change at all if it's not even meeting what he needs to, what he's interested in doing?
Well, it's a good point, but what if we allowed the staff to regulate the food truck ordinance to allow added days and added access, say for a 3-month period, and then it ends and comes back to us again?
That's fine with me. Whatever they need to do.
Yeah.
I agree. I don't want to keep doing this particular policy month after month and revising this. However, I also want to be positive for our businesses that do use the food trucks, and it is valuable to their businesses. So I think we need to be fair to them. I think the 5 or 7 day thing makes it feel like they're staying, and that's my only thing. Long weekends, I'm good, but 5 to 7 days feels like we've got them staying out there forever, and I don't think that's really what we're after in the downtown area.
I agree with you.
If we go with a change like this, we could have food trucks all up and down Main Street. It's not just the downtown district.
Well, true, as long as they get permission and fall under the regular ordinance. But we can put something that's got to be on their business or something like that. I do need to talk to Patrick about this, but right now, the time for us to help is here, and it's probably halfway gone, but we need to help just like we did with the seating. I don't see this any different myself. Chip, you've been awful quiet. What do you think?
I agree. I don't think we should tamper with this ordinance. Now, if we can come up with something, some language to help Patrick or other restaurant owners out who are in need of a kitchen, and that's what he wants to do, use a food truck as a temporary kitchen until he gets his kitchen in order. I don't have a problem with helping on that, but I think that we should go ahead and deal with this request to change the ordinance now and then see what we can do to help him.
Well, I still don't think we should change the ordinance.
No, that's what I'm saying. I think we should deal with the ordinance change. And then after we got that dealt with, see what we can do to help him. And I'm ready to make a motion right now.
Well, let's hear from the public before we do that. That'd be all
Okay.
right? Okay.
Yes, sir.
Jeff, have you got anybody that's called in?
Hey guys, it's Carrie again. Hi, council. I just wanted to say that food trucks are cool and we can't wait for Patrick's business to open. And I think that any way that we can help support and rally around small businesses would be excellent. And it's warming up, and those people that are going to eat at that food truck are going to continue to patron at other businesses down there. And that's something to consider.
Thank you, ma'am. Appreciate the statement. Anybody else, Jeff?
No, sir, that's everyone.
Darcy, did you have anybody?
No, sir.
Okay. All right, so we didn't hear from Patrick, so Patrick Miller. All right, what does everybody think? We will end the public comments and we'll need to make a decision.
Mayor Peterman, I apologize. Patrick Miller did raise his hand. I'm not sure if it was before or after you said to end the public comment.
I'm pretty sure it was after, but it's totally up to the mayor.
Let's let him speak. I think it's important to hear it.
He's got an old version of Zoom. I'm gonna have to promote him as panelist. Stand by.
I think he's.
Mr. Miller, you've been unmuted. Go ahead.
Thank you. The reason,
Patrick, let me name and address first, please, sir.
Patrick Miller, 127 West Hardin Street.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. The reason why I brought this forward was for a temporary change, is because we haven't been able to take our food truck out anywhere because of the pandemic. Nobody's really at a university or at an office complex. So we've made no money since the first weekend in March of last year. And it would be on my property, and I would move it after 5 days and then put it back for the start of the next 5 days. And not just for me, I know that the gentleman with the curry business over on Gilbreth, his employees have been furloughed, and he'd like to get his truck on his property open at least 5 days so that they, one, the business can make money, and two, his employees can get paid. The bulk of his business is Whole Foods, but their hot bar is down, so they're not buying anything from him. And I'd hate to see his business go away. My business is going to open, but I'd like to generate some income in the meantime.
Well, Patrick, you understand our concern with messing with this ordinance. Would you be amiable to a 3-month relaxing of this and have it go through the city staff to set up the times and all this kind of, not asking you to pay a fee or anything like that, just to do either 4 or 5 days. We haven't determined the number of days yet. Do what you want to do and just relaxing our ordinance right now for COVID-19 time, say 3 months.
I don't have a problem with that if we are going to revisit it after
We
3
we
months.
would revisit in 3 months is what I'm asking.
Correct. I have no issue with that.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor, could I make a point of what I believe I just heard? This
Yes.
is, this indeed is Patrick's own food truck that actually is part of his business. Is that correct? And he
That's
just
correct.
mentioned another business that actually is a food truck of his business. Is that correct?
That's correct.
All right, great. To me, those are
And I
two
think
different
if we-
issues of what we're talking about.
Right. And I think if we look at it that way, what we're trying to do is get our employees working and bring in an income to pay our mortgages because we've been shut down. And there's no way for us to open until one thing or another happens. And it would be on our properties. And of course, we would police it and take care of it. And I think the language that the city staff came up with was appropriate. No sooner than 7 a.m. and no later than 11 p.m., 5 days a week.
Any other questions for Mr. Miller?
I do. And actually of the staff, do we not have a business down the street already who has food trucks of their own and park them in their own parking lot on 87? The Mexican restaurant?
I don't think. Go
I
ahead.
think, I believe the Golden Taco has a number of food trucks. They have received no permits to operate food trucks on their premises. So if they're operating food trucks there, it is not legally. And they could do 1 day a week, although it's a very odd case in that circumstance because the Golden Taco may own 6 or 7 food trucks. So in theory, you could have a different food truck that was still the same food. I'm not making myself clear. So if you've got 6 trucks that are all the same branded truck, but they're a different truck, we could go and we could check the license plate and the sanitary health number and all these things. And then the next day there could be a different truck there that still looks, feels, tastes, has the same food, but it's a different truck with different staff with a different license plate and a different license. But they have not applied for nor received temporary outdoor sales information. So if they're engaging in food trucks, it's not with the permission of the city.
Okay, thanks. I know that they're there. Thank you.
They're there, but I don't think they're selling.
No, I haven't seen them sell, and I was not alluding to that. What I'm saying is we do have another situation though that they possibly could sell if they were to get a permit. They could actually sell, and it is another case of a business who actually owns their own truck. So it's not quite the same reason that we put together these outdoor sales to begin off with and food trucks. That consideration wasn't brought forward. It was about food trucks being brought in for other businesses. So that we have two different things going on here.
We do, but I still see the idea that we need to help.
I agree.
That we need to help. And I like the way the ordinance change was written, but I'd like to see it be a temporary 3-month thing that we revisit and not a change of our ordinance. So that's just my opinion. So.
Then, Mayor, if you're saying that, then we need to reduce the number of days that they can be out there.
Well, Mayor, what we need to do is vote on this agenda and then go over and figure out how we're going to help Patrick or anybody else that needs it.
Well, there won't be any, if we vote for it, then there won't be any.
Well, what I'm saying is we got to have a motion and a vote on this article.
Yeah,
And
we
then
will.
go to what we can do to help.
Mayor Peterman, if I may.
Yes.
I'm not sure how, I can't envision any other possibility for the temporary operation of food trucks other than for the city council to change the regulations and then change the regulations again. And I can assure you that staff will put the inverse of this on the agenda for next month, and then we can just continue to table it until such time as council wants to take action upon it. But if we, for example, leave the rules in place and then the city council says, we don't need to enforce some rules for some time for certain people in certain circumstances, I'm not sure that that would be valid. And I just wanted to bump that question over to Brian. If we change our regulations for a certain period of time and then we change it back, I think we're very, very clean. But if we choose not to enforce our regulations for some people for some time, and then we change it back, I'm not sure that that has that validity.
Right. I'm not suggesting we change it for anyone specifically. Whatever we do has to be the same for everyone across the board.
Exactly. How did we do the street sidewalk seating ordinance? Didn't we just make it temporary? I mean, wasn't that what we did?
The difference there is you're superseding your own regulations to allow for, you know, the HRC was the ones who approved the style. It was staff who approved the permits for it. In this circumstance, you're on private property. And so you're telling private property what their business can look like rather than requiring other people come to you to use your property.
Well, wouldn't the food truck ordinance tell them what they can and can't do on their private property?
The food truck ordinance would do so, but if we didn't relax the food truck ordinance, what we'd essentially be doing is not enforcing our own rules.
All right. What does everybody else think?
Mr. Mayor, I'm strongly opposed to making any changes to this ordinance.
Okay. I'm opposed to making changes to ordinance. I'm not opposed to helping.
Well, first of all, we got to vote on whether we're going to pass this request or deny it.
Well, as long as we talk about it, we're still discussing the same thing. If you're ready to make a motion, that's something altogether different.
I'm ready to make a motion, then we can go on what we're going to do.
Okay, then I'll move you to page 155 of your agenda and ask for a motion.
I'm going to make a motion that we deny the temporary outdoor sales request by Patrick Miller to amend Chapter 8, Article 8, Section 8-345 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Graham, North Carolina.
Thank you, sir. I need a second.
Mayor, I second that motion.
Thank you, sir. I will poll the council. I'll go to Chip first.
Aye.
I'll go to Ricky.
Aye.
I'll go to Melody,
Aye.
and I'll vote nay. So the vote carries. It's denied. The change is denied 3-1. So we need to make a motion to bring Jennifer back.
Mayor, I make a
So
motion.
moved.
I make a motion.
Okay, I've got a motion and a second. First Chip, please.
Aye.
Ricky,
Aye.
Melody,
Aye.
and I vote aye. Jennifer, you would be, please?
Mayor, may I ask just a procedural thing?
Yes,
When
ma'am.
on a first reading, we have to pass it for a supermajority, but if it's a denial, it's just a denial. It doesn't have, I mean, I wasn't sure if the supermajority played into this at all.
I don't think the super majority does. I think the first reading was denied 3-1. So I think it's dead. Is that not true, Brian?
That's what I would think. Yes, sir.
Okay, I just want to clarify that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. All right, so that is number 3. So next we go to recommendations from Planning and Zoning Board. Jennifer, are you back?
Yes.
Okay, this is a public hearing, RZ 2101 Poplar Industrial request by Uriah G. Hernandez for rezoning from R7. And Nathan, you're handling this, please?
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor. This is a rezoning request for a parcel that is adjacent to the old right-of-way for Poplar Street and Webb Avenue, where it turns into Elm Street in the city of Graham. The property has previously opened right-of-way to the south and unopened right-of-way to the east. The parcel currently has a narrow access off of Webb Avenue. The stated reason for this rezoning is to permit an auto body painting and body shop. If it were to be contained entirely within the business, staff recommends approval for a B2 land use here. However, recommends denial for the light industrial due to the adjacent residential uses.
Thank you, sir. Questions for the staff? Start with you, Ricky, please.
So your recommend, Nathan, your recommendation is a B2 zoning, correct?
Yes, sir, exactly.
That it, Rick?
I agree with a B2, no, an I1.
Melody, questions, please.
No questions. Thank you.
Jennifer, questions, please.
No questions.
Jennifer, you,
No
ma'am?
questions. I'm talking. Do you hear me?
Okay. I do now.
Okay. No questions.
Chipper, questions.
Yes, Nathan, if we go to a B2, will that let him do what he wants to do with an I1?
As long as his all of his work, his painting, his storage of beat up vehicles, etc., occurs inside, it would be approved in a B1. If he did that sort of thing outside, it could go into the storage yard requirements, which has additional buffer requirements and spacing requirements, etc., but would appear much more like a junkyard than a B2 use would.
So it's probably better for everyone to go with a B2, correct?
It may be slightly more expensive for the developer, but it would certainly be nicer for the people who are in that neighborhood right now.
All right, thank you, sir.
Okay, good. Let me go to the public. If anyone in attendance would like to speak during this agenda item, please indicate if you wish to do so by using the raise hand feature in Zoom, or by phone, press *9 to notify the host you wish to speak. We will recognize you at the appropriate time to speak. If you're having technical difficulties, please contact Preston Jenkins at 336-347-8674 to provide your comments. Darcy, have you got anybody?
No, sir.
Jeff, have you got anyone?
Yes, sir. I have one.
Okay.
Hernandez, you've been unmuted. State name and address for the record, please.
Hi, name is Hernandez, and the address is 2416 Berkeley Road.
Welcome, sir.
Thank you. Just to clarify, yeah, I do agree with Nathan. We are going to keep this all indoors, so B2 should be fine for us. And there's no plan to have a junkyard, so that's why we have the plan for 4 bays to keep everything inside.
Yes, sir. I appreciate it. Would you mind if the council has any questions? Would you mind answering them?
Sure thing.
Okay, I'll poll the council. Chip, have you got any questions for Mr.
No
Hernandez?
questions.
Melody,
No, sir.
Ricky,
And at this time,
I have no question. Jennifer,
So why, if the applicant is okay with B2, why was the request done for I1?
Based on my understanding, the I1 was allowing for paint. I wasn't aware that B2 also allowed for paint. So I applied for I1. It's just a misunderstanding based on what I had read on some postings online.
That's all.
okay, thank you, ma'am. Mr. Hernandez, good luck with this.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir. All right, anybody else, Jeff? Jeff, have you got anybody else?
No, sir, not at this time.
And then we will close the public hearing. We'll talk about it among ourselves. I see no problem with this. Anybody else?
No problems.
How would you like us to proceed with this? You want us to deny this and then request the B2, or do you want to go ahead and just go ahead and approve it as B2 period? How would you like us to
Let's go to 155 and approve it as B2. As you read the thing, just leave out the I1 and approve it for B2. Is that suitable to everyone?
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor, we're allowed to make changes based on information that is presented at the meeting. As you say, the second version on there covers that general business district B2.
Okay. So with that, I'll move you to page 155 and ask for a motion to include B2 and eliminate I1.
Mr. Mayor, I move that the application be approved, that the application is consistent with the Graham 2035 comprehensive plan. The residential character of the existing neighborhood is better suited to a light commercial activity with a light industrial site in alignment with strategies 1.15, 2.31, and policy 3.12.
Okay, I started talking the same time Melody started talking, but it just, do we not have to publicize a rezoning for the proper, I mean, that's not what the request was.
Right now, we have a motion on the floor, so we have to act on the motion first. And then we can discuss it at the end of it if you want to.
Well, I mean, I just don't want to do anything illegal.
We're not doing anything illegal, I guarantee you that. I gave you the wrong page number. It's 166 instead of 155. So I do have a motion and I need a second.
Second.
You understand the motion? It's going to B2 with no I1.
Yes, sir. Second.
Okay. Then I need to poll the council. I'll start with you, Chip, please.
Aye.
Jennifer, please.
No, I can't vote on this.
Okay. Ricky. Rick, please.
Aye.
Melody.
Aye.
And I'll vote aye. So the motion passes to B2 4-1. Jennifer, tell me what your concerns were.
I just thought for rezoning, it has to be advertised, and if it would have said, if he would have applied for B2, then I'm happy to vote for it, but he applied for I1, and I mean, from being on the council many years, I've always seen it be the applicant will usually withdraw their application and reapply and come back to the next council meeting. I mean, that's how we always did it, and maybe I'm assuming, but I assumed that was the legal way.
Mayor Peterman, would you like me to address that?
Please do.
Councilmember Talley, you're right that there is a very hard stop between a regular zoning and a conditional rezoning. Any sort of conditional industrial, conditional business, or conditional residential has to be just that and nothing but that. In terms of a rezoning, as we saw most recently with the application for the R9 for Council Creek that the City Council approved as an R12, the language of our publication says in it, all persons interested in the foregoing items are invited to attend said public hearing as changes to the revision may be made as a result of discussions at the planning board and city council meetings, which the School of Government has said is more than sufficient to cover if you're stepping from one straight rezoning into another straight rezoning. Or, for example, if you have an amendment for a 400 housing conditional residential that becomes 390 houses or 410 houses, those are all covered by that advertisement.
Okay, that's what I was mainly just wanting to clarify before the vote, is whether it was correctly advertised. So obviously that's changed.
Yeah. Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Next, we go to public hearing, RZ 2102 Sequoia Hills. Nathan, you handling this one also?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. Sorry, I was trying to do too many things at one time.
That's okay.
This is a request to rezone the subject property from R15 to R12. The property is currently wooded. This property was originally approved as a neighborhood in the 1990s, but went through a subsequent development phase in 2006. At this time, the developer is requesting a rezoning to R12 without a stated reason. The developer had an approval previously for an R15 with open space subdivision from that 2006 date. The site is already within Graham city limits.
Thanks, sir. Questions for the staff? Ricky, start with you, please.
I have no questions at this time.
Jennifer, please.
Questions?
Melody, questions?
I don't have a question for the staff, Mr. Mayor. I do have a question for the developer when we get to that point.
All right, thank you, ma'am. Chipper, questions for the staff?
No questions.
And I'll read statement 2 here. If anyone in attendance would like to speak during this agenda item, please indicate that you wish to do so by using the raise hand feature in Zoom, or if by phone, press *9 to notify the host you wish to speak. We will recognize you at the appropriate time to speak. If you're having technical difficulties, please contact Preston Jenkins at 336-347-8674 to provide your comments to be read. Darcy, have you got any comments?
Yes, sir.
Jeff, have you got any comments?
Walid, you've been unmuted. State your name and address for the record, please.
My name is Waleed Nicola, 204 Windrift Drive in Gibsonville.
Welcome, Mr. Nicola.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you for your time in hearing my rezoning request. I've got a national building company that's interested in developing the property, provided we can get this more favorable zoning density passed. And Mr. Page said that it seemed quite reasonable and fit within the Graham planning, future planning.
Yes, sir. Would you mind answering questions from the
Yeah, go
council?
right ahead. I'll answer anything you want.
All right, I'll start with Melody since I know she had a question. Melody, please.
Sure. How are you tonight, sir?
Good.
Good. What I was asking about is there are so many regulations with Jordan Lake rules that all the new regulations that it's really conceivable to see someone go from an R15 to an R12 just because of open space and so forth. We were talking about more dense, are there actually more houses what you're anticipating than what you had before? It seems as if you're going from that direction with the space you have, that you are actually going with close to the same number of what you were planning. However, with the Jordan Lake rules and so forth that were not in place at the original time that you did this, it makes more sense to have to go to an R12. Is that about right?
Yeah, I think the R12 zoning also allows them to address some difficulty in the topography that allows them to do it. I'm thinking that there were about 70 more lots with the current zoning that were in the other phases. And I really don't know about the Jordan Lake stuff, but I imagine there would be maybe 20 more lots, but I don't know. It depends on what their developers come up with, but you know, there would be, I would think there would be more lots.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Melody. Ricky, have you got any questions for the developer?
No, sir.
Chipper, any questions?
No, sir.
Jennifer, questions?
No.
Thank you, ma'am. Mr. Nicola, good luck with this.
All right, thank you very much.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Jeff, have you got anyone else?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, I do. Stand by.
Okay.
Nathan, you've been unmuted. State your name and address for the record, please.
Nathan Wiles on 849 Rumar Street in Graham.
Hey, Coach, how are you?
Doing good. Hey, just a quick question, and I don't really understand all the, I mean, I've always spent my life in infrastructure, so I don't understand the rezoning. But if you look at our property down, Jerry, our mayor, and everyone, I noticed that's like an R18, and for him to go to an R12, which that property backs up to our neighborhood, is that the plans for single family dwellings, or is it apartments, townhouses, exactly what?
It's single family homes. R12 is usually a residential zoning. I think it goes from R15 to R12, not R18. So it's going from 15,000 square foot down to 12,000 square foot, which if I remember where you live, you're probably at R18. You were outside the city when it came in. So y'all's are larger lots where you live.
So it is single family dwelling, and I wish we could show that buffer again, or the map of it again. Is there any plans for a buffer between houses like that border the ones on the edge of the current right outside of that property? Will there be a tree line buffer, anything, ecological buffer, anything in there?
Nathan, can you bring that back up for us?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Nathan, can you see it when he brings it up?
It's getting ready to pop up now.
Okay.
Yes, if you look where the property line is on the south side of that, well, yeah, I guess it'll be south side. You see the existing lots now that are R18 off of Rumar, Martindale, and Amos. There is, at that southern border of the proposed property, is there going to be buffer, or is all of that going to be cleared?
Mayor Peterman, would you like me to address that?
Please do.
So the property owner has the right to clear that property right now all the way to their property line, just like any of us have the right to clear our properties.
Okay.
There will be rear yard setbacks that are required to be maintained that the property owner cannot build into. So there will be some buffers between there, but we don't have any sort of requirement that a single family home puts in some trees to buffer against other single family homes within our regulations.
Okay. And will the main access be come in off of Socorro Hills or the Sun Avenue area? Is that still going to remain the main access being Socorro Hills?
Mr. Mayor, would you like me to address that?
Yes, sir. He's talking to you. We're just listening.
Sorry.
In this circumstance, what we have before us is a rezoning. And so the property owner could use any legal access to access their property. So for example, Mayor Peterman said that this is predominantly a single family area, which is 100% true. But one of the uses that's permitted here is a religious institution. So for example, they could put up another Lamb's Chapel on this lot and use any of their legal accesses. I'm not sure if it would be at Chinichi Drive or Haynook or Shikori Hills. It would be up to the developer to determine how they wanted the internal portion of their neighborhood to look and feel.
I was more concerned with the access, because right now, I guess the only access off of Shikori Hills is off of, I think that's Gilbert Street there. That's what I was just asking is, you know, with that many more homes in there, was there going to need to be another access road be built for getting in and out of that prospective property?
If I remember correctly, there was a secondary entrance that connected south to Rumar Street in the original approval from the early 2000s. But I believe the primary entrance was always intended to be Shikori Hills Drive. Having said that, like a corner lot submittals on a corner lot can choose to put their driveway on the other side, that would also be the case for this developer. But I think that the landscaping and design that exists for that riparian buffer towards the entrance of Shikori Hills makes that the more attractive entrance into the neighborhood.
All right. Thank you, Nathan.
Coach, is that all?
I'm good.
Good to hear from you, sir. Now, Jeff, have you got anyone else?
That is everyone, sir.
All right, we will close the public comments here and we'll talk about it among ourselves. What does everybody think? I truly believe this is probably a good answer to this. To go to R12 is nice to have someone to voluntarily want to go to R12. This has been coming a long time. That neighborhood has been there a long time without any movement, and it's great to see movement down there. What does everybody else think?
I think you're right, Mayor. I mean, it's been stale. Maybe this will open it up. And then an R12 isn't a bad rezone.
You know, Coach Wiles,
R9 or R7.
Coach Wiles lives down off of Rumar and Amos
where he
Drive.
is.
And there is a wetland behind those houses off of Rumar on the left-hand side that I don't think that he's going to put a bridge in to cross. So that's just my opinion. As you look at that, he'd have to do a lot to get across that wetlands back there where Justin is. So I think Coach Wiles is pretty safe in his neighborhood. So
I think that neighborhood is safe, and like I said, R15, R12, that's not bad. That's a lot better than R9 or R7.
what does everybody else think?
I agree with you, Mayor. I like the R12 zone.
Thank you, sir.
I think, Mr. Mayor, that the R12 makes sense for that piece of property.
Okay. All the rest of the conversation go well with everyone? Jennifer, have you got any questions or concerns?
No.
Well, let me move you to page 171 in your agenda and ask for a motion.
Mayor, I move that the application be approved. The application is consistent with the Graham 2035 Comprehensive Plan. The action is reasonable and in the public interest for the following reasons. Rezoning the property would be in consistence with the suburban residential type and furthers policy 3.3.2 and strategy 4.3.1 as put forth by the Graham 2035 Comprehensive Plan.
Thank you. Second.
I second Melody's motion.
Thank you, sir. Let me poll the council. Chipper?
Aye.
Melody, please.
Aye.
Jennifer, please.
Aye.
Ricky, please.
Aye.
And I'll vote aye. Mr. Nicola, good luck with this, sir. We're pulling for you. All right. Next we go issues not on tonight's agenda, public comment period. Let me read our statement here. If anyone in attendance would like to speak during this public comment period, please indicate you wish to do so by using the raised hand feature in Zoom, or if by phone, press *9 to notify the host you wish to speak. We ask that you please state your name, address, and topic for the record. You will be given 4 minutes to speak. Have you got anything, Darcy?
Sir.
Jeff, have you got anyone who wants to speak?
Yes, sir, one person.
Okay.
Deborah, you've been unmuted. State your name and address for the record, please.
Deborah Wagner, 411 Old Farm Road in Graham.
Well, welcome, Ms. Wagner.
Thank you. So I am curious to know what is being developed behind me. My husband and I both have tried to reach out to Nathan Page on several occasions to find out exactly what's going on, because people have been here, taking down trees, putting in power lines and fiber and digging up our yards, and surveyors have come in the land behind me. And so finally, a letter was sent out to us, but the plan that was sent to us showed a little tiny portion on the other side of us, of Old Farm Road, not on the other side of Moore, but on our side of Moore. On our side of Old Farm Road. It showed a little tiny portion that was going to be developed, and there was a Zoom call, and I was unable to be on that Zoom call due to work responsibilities, unfortunately. So my neighbor was able to pull a plan, because after asking Nathan Page what was going on via email, and I made several phone calls to him, which he did not return, which is not unlike him in other situations before as well. But she found a plan that shows that there's going to be a road cut behind us. And then I know back in 2005, which Nathan Page said to my husband that it was approved for homes to be, and also my neighbor has told me that, because that was prior to me living here, that it was already zoned for homes. Nathan said that we didn't have a right to know, because it was as if we were just putting in a bedroom to our home or something like that. As a resident of Graham, that's insulting, because I feel like I should know what's happening in my backyard. My tree, yes, it's not my land, unfortunately, because again, nobody came to me and asked me if I wanted to buy any of that property back there. But instead, the city just comes in and starts, doing their thing, and things start happening. I'm trying to ask questions and there's no answers. So I'm just wondering and would like to know as a Graham resident, what's going on.
Yes, ma'am. If first off, the city isn't doing their thing back there, that was pre-approved prior to you moving there in 2005, the roads and the development area. And I can go to the staff to let you know where they stand with the development itself. And Nathan is very accessible, and I don't understand this problem that you're having with that. I think he's very accessible, Ms. Wagner. Nathan, do you have anything to add about what is going on and the status of the development at Old Fields?
Yes, sir, Mr.
I'm sorry, Old Farm.
Old Farm Road. And I mean, the city of Graham has been here because I've seen them here doing work.
We are there, and if we've got something we have to take care of, we will take care of it, but we're not, as you say, doing our thing. We're not down there doing a development. It's someone else.
Right. I understand that, but you guys are putting in stuff, and it's obvious that it's for this development, correct?
Now let's go to the staff and let's talk about this development and what's going on and how far along they are.
Okay.
Yes, so Mr. Peterman. So the single family portion of the neighborhood, which is the portion that's behind Ms. Wagner, as you know, was approved originally in 2005 and hasn't been amended since then. It just went through TRC and got TRC approval within the last 60 days or so. There are city forces that are doing pre-construction meetings out there with folks, and I am certain that there are city forces that are out there marking things for 811. Anybody that's installing any fiber lines or even water lines, sewer lines, power lines, those do not work for the city, but they are going to be inspected by the city for compliance with our regulations. And I was looking through my email just to make sure. I received an email from Ryan Wagner at 8:30 p.m. on Wednesday, January 27th, and replied at 8:30 a.m. on January 28th that included the site plan for the whole neighborhood that was approved in 2005. So I'm not sure what other information could have been supplied.
Nathan, during your conversation, you used the word TRC and 811. Let's explain what the TRC is first.
Yes, sir. Sorry. So the TRC is made up of all departments from the city, from the police department to the fire department to the streets department to the public works department, stormwater, engineering. It also includes the U.S. Postal Service, the NCDOT, and Alamance County Board of Education for the school system. And all of us review the plans comprehensively to make sure that they have applied all of the regulations, not only just for the city of Graham, but also for those that the federal government tells us that we have to enact, such as the floodplain ordinances, and those that the state of North Carolina requires us to enact, such as the riparian buffer ordinances and the stormwater ordinances. And then 811 is a number that anyone can call, and we encourage you to call it if you're ever digging in your yard. There may be a depth that you're supposed to be able to dig, like tulips or whatever. 6 inches isn't a problem. But if you're digging deeper than a foot anywhere in your yard, you should call 811 prior to the time that you dig in your yard to locate whether or not there are any utilities there. So when you call 811, the power company will come out, the gas company will come out, the water and sewer inspectors will come out, the telecoms will come out, and they will mark the areas with different colors. So the gas companies use yellow, the water will use blue, sewer is green, telecom is orange, and Duke Power is red.
Tell me now, the TRC has viewed this twice now. So why would they view it the second time?
The TRC has approved the single family detached version.
But they had to look at it in 2005 also.
I'm not sure how far it got in 2005. I didn't dig into the record that far. I do know that they submitted to TRC, but as we've discussed on here, a number of regulations changed in the interim, and so they were required to have the same set of plans brought up to current standards and reapproved.
What would the city be doing down there working right now?
I do know that Bert met with a pre-construction meeting and discussed, like mud on the road. There's a contractor that is installing, I'm not sure if it's fiber or cable lines or something, but we have had 4 or 5 city staff members tell them that they need to clean the roads up and that we do have the authority to shut them down if they don't get the roads cleaned up. I know those conversations occurred on Friday of last week. And so if there's still mud out there on the roads, it absolutely needs to be cleaned up. Please bring that to our attention. If there are folks tracking mud onto roads, it is an unsafe condition because the roads get slippery and we need to be aware of that. And feel free to call me if you call 336-570-6705. It should ring to my desk and I'll pick it up if I'm there. I do have a fair number of meetings, but I'm at my desk 7 hours a day, every day of the week.
I know who Burke is, but Ms. Wagner does not.
Yes, and I've left you messages before, Nathan, and never received messages back. My frustration though is I understand that it's been zoned in 2005, but what you sent my husband is not what is going on back there. It's not what is happening behind my house.
What is happening behind your house is different.
Right. So can someone send me what is happening behind my house?
Okay, he's bringing it up right now. So what is different about your house? What is going on back there that you feel like is not right?
Okay, so wait, let's see. So there, let me just find.
Yes, ma'am.
Where. So is that old Farm Road that's up in the left-hand corner? Okay, so that goes around there. So I'm just trying to place where I am.
Ms. Wagner, let's do a different route. Let's
okay.
Are you able to come by City Hall and we can set up a time and I will meet you here along with Nathan and whoever else you would like to meet with, and we'll sit down and talk about this, what is planned there and what's going on there.
Yes, that would be lovely.
Okay, why don't you call and make an appointment? Nathan, give Ms. Wagner the phone number again, please. And then we will, I will be glad to come up and sit down with you. We'll do social distancing. We'll meet in the conference room where we'll have plenty of room and we'll go over the specs of it, okay?
Okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Nathan, give her the phone number one more time, please, ma'am. Please, sir.
336-570-6705.
If you leave him a message, if you don't get him, and we will set something up in the next week and we'll sit down, okay?
Okay, can you give me the last 4 again? Because maybe I didn't have the correct number whenever I was leaving him a message in the past. 570
6705.
6705. Okay, I will give him a call tomorrow morning then.
Thank you, Ms. Wagner. We appreciate it. And thank you for calling.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Jeff, have you got anyone else?
No, sir, that is everyone.
Then let's poll the staff. Staff have anybody? Nathan, anything else?
No, sir, Mr. Mayor. I look forward to meeting with you later this week to help her out.
Yes, sir. Brian, you got anything?
No, sir.
Darcy?
No, sir.
Aaron, have you got anything?
Just one thing. I know you had mentioned about anyone having any questions from the budget retreat to submit those in to Darcy. If we can set some sort of a date for that so that we can start compiling those and sending those out, that'd be great. I don't know if the end of this week is too soon, or maybe by Monday or something along those lines, something so that we can go ahead and start compiling stuff together.
All right, let's go to Monday, next Monday. That'll give us the weekend for us to sit on our computers. How about that?
Yeah,
That'd
and
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear anything he was saying. My sound went out again. I apologize.
I was just reiterating the submittals of the questions from the budget retreat and just seeing if we can get a date to kind of get those submitted back from everyone so that we can go ahead and compile them and send them out where we need to go. And Mayor just made the date of the 15th, Monday the 15th.
I'm still not sure what you're asking. I'm so sorry. Your audio keeps going in and out, and I can't really. You're asking. I heard budget, and I heard.
If I may, it was a request to send in any questions from the budget retreat to Darcy by Monday.
Okay. How can I hear him and not you?
Am I coming clear to everyone else? I just want to make sure because I need to get a new laptop.
Yeah, it's fine.
Okay, just making sure. I don't know. I don't know.
All right, Aaron, you got anything else?
That was all.
Jeff, anything?
Let me double check, Mayor. No, sir.
All right, I'll poll the council. Melody, if you got anything to add?
Yes, sir.
Ricky, anything?
I have one question for Aaron. When will be our next budget meeting? My calendar is getting pretty full for April.
Aaron, have you got any idea how far out we need to go?
Well, we don't actually get the budget worksheets back from the department heads until April 2nd. And then from that's whenever Julianne, our finance director, and I will sit down with each of the different departments so that we can go ahead and put together the budget message, which I will have for you at your meeting in May. And in the next meetings for the workshops will be after that point. Right now, the tentative schedule is for May 18th for the next one.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Melody, I asked you, didn't I?
Yes, sir, you did.
Okay. Jennifer, have you got anything else?
We just some announcements. We
Yes, ma'am.
have March the 20th. We have Aaron Silver from South of Southern that will be playing on the stage in downtown Graham. That's at 7 o'clock. So encourage everybody to come out and social distance and bring a lawn chair and enjoy some really good music. He was excellent. He has a great following. And we've got someone coming from American Idol next month, I think. So we're kind of excited about that. We kind of went over this. I really didn't say much about it. It was in the consent agenda. Arbor Day is April the 30th. Kind of save that date as well. And I'm wanting to honor 2 employees. I've bought plaques for 2 employees to hang in the downtown that have passed away. And so I want to be able to dedicate there were some trees that we purchased and planted, and we're going to put a plaque up and honor them. And I just wanted to see about doing something for Mickey Cheek. Maybe we could plant a tree or something. He was a prior city councilman and just a wonderful community member. There's hardly anybody he didn't teach to drive here in Alamance County, I don't think. And I just think I have such fond memories of him, and very, very sad to hear of his passing, and prayers continue for his family.
Thank you, ma'am. I appreciate you mentioning Arbor Day. I'll talk about that in a minute. Let's see. Chipper,
Mayor,
you got
Mike, just 1 second.
Yes, ma'am.
We have a tree planted for Mickey's daughter in Cook Park, and it may be appropriate if the city would like to plant another tree to plant it close to. I think he would appreciate getting close to his daughter.
Oh, thank you, ma'am. That's great. Chipper, have you got anything to add?
No, sir, I'm good.
We also lost Carrie Thompson, so if we're gonna do a tree, let's do one for everyone. Carrie Thompson was the first lady to serve on the Graham City Council. She had all kinds of different firsts in her lifetime, and very nice lady. And Arbor Day is going to be more than just Arbor Day this year. They're planning on doing a lot of interactive stuff on the computer and stuff, a lot of learning stuff. It's going to take the entire month to do it. So the month of April is going to be Arbor Month. Whatever that word is. Finishing up with Arbor Day. So I will let you know the times and what's going on with that. With that, I need a motion to adjourn.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion, we adjourn.
Okay, I've got a motion and a second. All in favor, I'll poll the council. Chipper?
Uh-huh.
Ricky?
Aye.
Jennifer? Melody?
Aye.
And I vote aye. Thank everyone for being here. We appreciate everything.